The air was thick with a tension that only the confines of Helix 1 could breed, claustrophobic and charged with the silent dread of an unseen threat. His fingers moved deftly over the keyboard, peeling back layers of garbled transmissions, hunting for anomalies that had evaded routine scans. A subtle irregularity caught his eye, a faint, recurring blip buried deep within the encrypted channels, too rhythmic to be accidental, too concealed to be benign. Alex's pulse quickened. He zoomed in, cross-referencing station communication logs and internal messaging systems. The pattern unfolded like a web, a covert communication channel hidden beneath the official networks. Someone aboard was sending secret messages, concealing their treachery under the guise of routine data. "Jenna, get me a trace on this channel. Now," Alex ordered sharply, not taking his eyes off the screens. Jenna's quick footsteps echoed as she floated into the room, her expression taut with concentration. "We have a mole, and they're smart enough to stave off the usual radars." Meanwhile, somewhere in the observation bay, Vivian Cade stood like a queen surveying her kingdom. The vast windows framed the endless blackness of space, dotted with distant stars, but her focus was on the interior of Helix 1. Her platinum blonde hair shimmered under the cold neon lighting, and those piercing blue eyes gleamed with a chilling resolve. A subtle smile touched her lips, a predator, savoring the tightening noose she had woven round her prey. She spoke into a concealed device, her voice low and controlled. "The web tightens. Let the summit fracture. Paranoia is our ally." Back in the control room, Dr. Lena Ortiz arrived, her dark curls slightly disheveled from a long day, glasses perched on her nose as she joined Alex at the console. "What have you found?" she asked, her voice soft but urgent. Alex pointed to the screens. "There's a hidden communication line masked within station data. It's a mole's lifeline. If we can trace it, we might isolate who's feeding information to the saboteurs." Lena frowned, scanning the data. "The encryption is sophisticated, definitely professional. This isn't just a random traitor. It's someone with deep access." Their whispered strategizing was interrupted by a subtle alert. Jenna's voice crackled over the comms. "Trace is active, but the signal keeps jumping nodes. Whoever it is, they know how to cover their tracks." Tension thickened the air. The summit's already fragile trust was now shattered by the confirmation of internal betrayal. Alex's mind raced through suspects, alliances, and the shifting loyalties he had observed. Marcus Vale, enigmatic and slippery, was near the top of the list. In a narrow zero-gravity corridor, Marcus moved with calculated grace, his sharp suit immaculate despite the station's growing chaos. Jenna floated beside him, her tone probing yet professional. "Marcus, care to explain these encrypted transmissions we intercepted?" Marcus's calculating gaze met hers, shadowed with a guarded edge. "I'm here to ensure my corporation's interests, nothing more." "If you're implying I'm involved, I'm implying nothing," Jenna cut in, voice steady but firm. "Just asking questions." The unspoken tension hung between them, a charged silence only broken by the faint hum of the station's systems. Back at the observation bay, Vivian's orchestration continued. Her subtle manipulations stoked the fires of suspicion, setting delegates against one another, fracturing alliances, and deepening the paranoia that Alex knew would be her most effective weapon. As the hours dragged on, the station's corridors seemed to close in tighter, the walls echoing with whispered accusations and guarded glances. Alex knew the discovery of the mole's channel was a turning point. The game had evolved from shadowed sabotage to a dangerous chess match of lies and deception. "We have to act fast," Alex said, voice low but resolute. Because every second that passes, Vivian's plan moves closer to completion. Dr. Ortiz nodded, determination flaring in her eyes. Then let's unravel this web before it's too late. The zero-gravity confines of Helix 1 had never felt more suffocating. The stage was set for a confrontation where trust was the rarest commodity and betrayal lurked in every shadow. Alex braced himself for what was to come, knowing that uncovering the mole's identity could save the station or doom them all. And somewhere, hidden in plain sight, the web of lies continued to spin. In the central command hub, the metallic walls seemed to close in as delegates shouted accusations with venomous intensity. Alex Mercer stood at the heart of it, the calm eye in a tempest of suspicion and fear. His sharp eyes scanned the bank of monitors arrayed before him, each screen flickering with live feeds and security data. An alert blared a breach had been detected in one of the station's restricted sectors, a place critical to the summit's operations. "We can't keep going like this," Alex muttered under his breath, his voice low but resolute. Beside him, Dr. Lena Ortiz's fingers flew over her console, passing the incoming data with practiced urgency. The sabotage isn't just isolated incidents anymore. Someone's escalating, and it's putting everyone here in danger. From the adjacent conference room, voices rose louder, the cacophony of distrust echoing through the station's claustrophobic corridors. Marcus Vale, ever the charismatic strategist, paced with a calculating gaze, his expression unreadable. When Alex approached, the air between them was thick with unspoken conflict. "You think this is my doing?" Marcus asked, a smirk playing on his lips as he leaned against the cold steel wall. "I don't know what to think," Alex replied evenly, eyes locked on Marcus's. "But right now, your loyalties are the biggest question mark on this station." Marcus shrugged, his eyes gleaming with ambiguous intent. "Perhaps, but if you want to catch the saboteur, you'll need to work with me, not against me." Before Alex could respond, an urgent alert cut through the tension. Jenna Wu, his most trusted subordinate, was reporting movement near the breach point. Swift and precise, Jenna navigated the zero-gravity corridors, her training evident in every fluid motion. The station's emergency lights flickered, casting long shadows that danced across the bulkheads as she neared the compromised hatch. The hiss of the airlock opening was a sharp contrast to the silence that followed. Jenna's voice crackled in Alex's ear, steady despite the threat. "I've got a visual on the intruder, preparing to engage." Inside the narrow corridor, Jenna faced the shadowy figure attempting to override the security panel. Their movements were quick, but Jenna's were quicker. With a swift, practiced motion, she incapacitated the intruder, securing the hatch before any further damage could be done. Back in the command hub, the news of Jenna's successful intervention rippled through the crew like a shockwave. Yet, instead of relief, it deepened the mistrust. How did they get in? Who's feeding them intel? Voices demanded. The summit factions, already frayed by suspicion, began fracturing further, accusations flying like shrapnel. Dr. Ortiz's voice cut through the chaos as she relayed her analysis. The breach wasn't random. The intruder targeted the communication arrays. "Someone wants to black out our comms, isolate us." Alex's jaw tightened. The sabotage was no longer just about destruction. It was about control. And to regain it, he would have to navigate the treacherous web of deception threading through Helix 1. As the chapter drew to a close, Alex found himself alone in the observation deck, gazing out at the endless blackness dotted with distant stars. The silence was a stark contrast to the turmoil within, but the weight of isolation pressed heavily. Somewhere, amidst the polished surfaces and artificial gravity, a traitor lurked. And Alex knew that the station's survival and his own depended on unmasking them before it was too late. "Trust no one," he whispered to the void. "Because in space, betrayal is the deadliest enemy." Alex Mercer stood motionless for a moment in the control room, eyes fixed on the fluctuating readouts that danced erratically across the monitors. The glow of red warning lights cast long shadows on the walls, flickering intermittently as the station shuddered with subtle tremors. Around him, the crisp air smelled faintly of ozone and cooling circuits, an antiseptic scent that had become all too familiar over his years in security. Dr. Lena Ortiz sat at one of the consoles, her fingers flying across the interface with practiced precision. Her curly black hair was pulled back tight, but a few loose strands clung to her forehead, damp with sweat despite the station's regulated environment. The glasses perched on her nose caught the light as her eyes narrowed in concentration. "Power fluctuations are spiking again," she muttered, voice low yet steady. "If this keeps up, the summit's main systems will shut down within the hour." Raj Patel, the chief engineer, stood beside her, arms crossed as he surveyed the data streams. His normally calm demeanor was fraying at the edges, evident in the tight line of his jaw and the restless tapping of his fingers against the console. "It's definitely not a random failure," Raj said grimly. "Someone's tampering with the station's power grid. I've checked the logs. There are deliberate overrides and unauthorized access points." Alex's brows furrowed. Sabotage was no longer a suspicion. It was a confirmed threat. The implications hit him like a punch to the gut. If the station's power failed, not only would the summit be crippled, but lives would be at risk in the cold vacuum of space. "Have you pinpointed the compromised systems?" Alex asked, moving closer to the console. "Doctor." Ortiz tapped on the screen, pulling up a schematic of the station's power distribution network. "There's an unstable relay module in Sector 7, right near the secondary life support arrays. It's been overridden multiple times in the last 24 hours. If that fails, the oxygen recycling will go offline." Raj nodded. "I'm assembling a repair team now, but we'll need clear access and fast. If any of the saboteurs are still aboard, they might try to stop us." Alex's mind raced. The station was a labyrinth of corridors and maintenance shafts, every inch vulnerable. He needed to act quickly, but with caution. He moved out of the control room, the soft whoosh of his boots against the metal floors echoing faintly. The zero-gravity environment was deceptive. Without gravity to anchor him, every movement required careful calculation. He glided down narrow corridors, scanning for any signs of further tampering. At a junction near Sector 7, Alex slowed, his sharp eyes catching a panel slightly ajar. The metallic edges shimmered faintly under the station's fluorescent lights. With a gloved hand, he slid the panel open, revealing the power relay unit inside. The wiring was frayed in places, connectors loosened deliberately. He pulled out his communicator. "This is Mercer. Found deliberate tampering on relay module 7B. Need immediate engineering support." Within minutes, Raj and Dr. Ortiz arrived, their faces grim but determined. Raj knelt beside the relay, fingers expertly tracing circuits while Dr. Ortiz monitored the station's systems remotely. "Mercer, this isn't simple sabotage," Raj said quietly. "This was done by someone who knows the station inside and out. They knew exactly which systems to target to cause maximum disruption." Alex's gaze hardened, which narrows the suspect list. As Raj worked to stabilize the relay doctor, Ortiz's voice came over the comlink. "I'm rerouting power through auxiliary circuits. It's a temporary fix, but it should hold long enough for repairs. The station hummed with renewed energy, lights brightening and systems stabilizing. Yet the tension in the air was palpable. The threat was far from over. "Keep me updated on any anomalies," Alex instructed. "And Rog, double-check all critical systems for further tampering." Rog nodded, already on it. Back in the control room, Alex sat before the main console, piecing together the clues. The sabotage was methodical, calculated, and personal. Someone aboard wanted the summit to fail, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Dr. Ortiz leaned over his shoulder, her voice soft but urgent. "This relay is just the beginning. We're seeing similar irregularities cropping up elsewhere, subtle enough to evade detection, but dangerous if left unchecked." Alex's thoughts drifted to the delegates aboard the station, powerful corporate figures whose ambitions often blurred the lines between ally and adversary. Among them, Marcus Vale's ambiguous loyalties weighed heavily on his mind. Could he be connected to this? His communicator buzzed. Jenna Wu's voice came through, steady despite the tension. "Mercer, there's been movement near the cargo bay. Possible unauthorized personnel." Alex stood, the familiar surge of adrenaline sharpening his senses. "I'm on my way." As he floated through the corridors, the weight of responsibility settled like armor. The station was a fragile ecosystem, and every second counted. He reached the cargo bay to find Jenna scanning the area, her weapon ready but posture relaxed. "Anything suspicious?" Alex asked. "Nothing yet, but the access logs show someone entered without clearance." Alex's mind raced. The saboteur was bold, daring to move openly in the station's belly. He motioned for Jenna to cover him as they began a systematic sweep. The corridor lights flickered, the station's heartbeat irregular under the strain of sabotage. Alex's breath caught a stark reminder that in the vast silence of space, the smallest failure could be fatal. Hours passed in a blur of checks, repairs, and tense conversations. In the makeshift command center, Rog and Dr. Ortiz coordinated with the engineering team, their voices a steady anchor in the storm. Alex reviewed the evidence collected so far: tampered relays, unauthorized accesses, and encrypted messages intercepted by Dr. Ortiz's systems. Each clue was a thread in the tangled web of deceit. He gathered his core team in the control room, the atmosphere thick with urgency. "We're close," he said. "Someone aboard is orchestrating this, and they want to bring Helix 1 down. We need to find them before it's too late." Dr. Ortiz nodded. "I'm running diagnostics on all critical nodes. If we can isolate the pattern, we might predict their next move." Rog added, "And I'll have repairs prioritized on vulnerable systems. We can't let the power fail again." As the summit's clock ticked inexorably forward, the pressure mounted. Alex knew that every decision, every action, could mean the difference between survival and catastrophe. Outside the station's reinforced windows, the stars blinked cold and indifferent, a silent witness to the fragile battle unfolding within. The game was on, and Alex Mercer was determined to win, no matter the cost. But as the shadows lengthened and suspicions deepened, one question haunted him: who was the saboteur? And could he trust anyone to stand with him against the coming storm? The answer lay just beyond reach, hidden in the flickering circuits and whispered secrets of Helix 1. The explosion erupted near the engineering bay, a harsh metallic clang followed by the stench of burning circuitry and the acrid bite of smoke. Red emergency lights bathed the narrow hallways in a grim, pulsating glow as smoke swirled in zero gravity, obscuring vision and thickening the air. Alex Mercer was already on patrol when the concussion hit. The shockwave sent him tumbling, limbs flailing in the weightless environment. Instinctively, he twisted his body, using handrails to steady himself and assess the damage. His sharp eyes quickly registered the chaos, emergency alarms blaring, flickering lights, and the distant sounds of coughing and hurried footsteps. "Jenna," Alex called out, voice steady despite the surge of adrenaline. Security team member Jenna Wu responded immediately, appearing from around a corner with a portable oxygen mask in hand. Together, they propelled themselves toward the blast zone, weaving through dense smoke that clung to the station's metallic surfaces. Flashing lights illuminated the scene, panels torn open, cables sparking, and a small fire struggling against the station's automated suppression systems. Several crew members lay sprawled, some unconscious, others coughing violently as they struggled to breathe. Alex barked orders, coordinating evacuation routes and triage efforts over his comlink. "Get the injured to medbay, now," he commanded, eyes scanning for further hazards. The station's narrow corridors, once a symbol of cutting-edge efficiency, now felt like a labyrinthine trap, each corner a potential threat. Nearby, Dr. Lena Ortiz floated at a terminal, her fingers dancing over holographic controls as she assessed the damage. Her curly black hair floated around her face, glasses fogged slightly from the smoke. "Life support compromised in Sector 7, she reported, voice tense but composed. "Fire containment systems are operational but unstable. We need to reroute power immediately." Alex nodded, acknowledging the critical information. "Raj, status report," he called. Chief Engineer Raj Patel appeared, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to the chaos. "Damage to the primary conduit is extensive," he said, voice measured but urgent. "We're running emergency protocols, but if we don't contain this fast, the station's integrity could be at risk." The explosion was no accident. Alex knew that much instinctively. The subtle signs of sabotage he'd been tracking converged here, and the stakes had just escalated beyond corporate rivalry to a matter of life and death. As the emergency teams worked feverishly, Alex's mind raced back to the shadowy figure he'd seen in surveillance footage days earlier, Vivian Cade. Elegant and composed, with her piercing blue eyes and platinum blonde hair, she was the embodiment of cold calculation. Her presence aboard Helix 1 was no coincidence, and this attack bore her signature of ruthless ambition. Floating near the blast site, Alex spotted what he had been searching for: a small, nearly imperceptible insignia etched into a piece of debris. The symbol was one he recognized from intercepted communications, the mark of Vivian Cade's covert mercenary network. A chill ran down his spine as the realization settled in. The saboteur was closer than anyone had imagined. "We need to lock down the station," Alex ordered, his voice cutting through the static of his cum. "No one in or out without clearance. This attack is only the beginning." The summit delegates, already on edge from previous incidents, now eyed each other with growing suspicion. Paranoia rippled through the corridors as alliances fractured and accusations flew. Alex felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. He had to protect everyone aboard, unravel the sabotage plot, and prevent Helix 1 from becoming a tomb in the void of space. Despite the chaos, Alex maintained his composure, methodically directing rescue efforts and coordinating with Dr. Ortiz and Raj Patel to stabilize the station's critical systems. The zero-gravity environment, once a marvel of human engineering, now amplified every danger, turning simple movements into calculated maneuvers. As the smoke began to clear, the true extent of the damage revealed itself. The explosion had compromised vital systems, and the station's vulnerabilities lay bare. But one thing was clear to Alex: Vivian Cade's reach was deep, and time was running out. With renewed determination, he prepared to dive deeper into the web of espionage and betrayal that threatened Helix One. The unseen enemy was no longer a shadow. It was a tangible force, and Alex was ready to confront it head-on. The chapter closes as Alex, floating weightless in the dim corridor, stares toward the distant bulkhead where the explosion had originated, his mind racing with the question: how many more attacks would it take before the station and everyone aboard was lost?